NATO's Secretary General says Finland will join the military alliance in the coming days, almost a year after applying for membership. Well, the last hurdle was cleared when Turkey became the final NATO country to approve Finland's application. Once the country formally joins the group, NATO's borders with Russia will more than double in length to over 1,500 miles. And the size of the alliance would grow even further if all members approve the application of neighboring Sweden. However, Turkey continues to block its application. Let's discuss this further now with former Finnish Prime Minister Alexander Stubb. He joins us now from Florence, where he directs the School of Transnational Governance at the European University Institute. Sir, thank you so much for your time. So it's happening. Finland is joining NATO. How do you reflect on this moment?
Well, obviously it's historic. It's historic in many ways in the sense that we finally join a military alliance. It's historic in the sense that it's probably the fastest accession of a new NATO country ever. And of course, we all know that this would not have happened was it not for Putin's aggression in Ukraine. So historic in many aspects.
Historic in many aspects. Let's discuss one aspect in terms of what kind of change does this represent for Finns as a society and as a country to go from so-called neutrality to full-blown NATO membership in the span of a year?
Well, I guess you could say that we were neutral during the Cold War, but that was out of necessity, not free will. When the Cold War ended, we changed to a doctrine of non-military alliance. And now we join military alliance. I mean, to a certain extent, it means a lot, but not that much, in the sense that I think we were one of the few countries in Europe that sustained a obligatory military service. We have 900,000 men in reserve, 280,000 that we can mobilize at wartime. So it's good for us to get security from NATO in Article 5, but I also think that we are a tremendous value added for NATO itself.
What debates are there now being held in Finland about what it will mean for the country to become a member of the Transatlantic Alliance? I mean, are people open to a potentially big NATO presence in their country?
Well, yes and no. I guess the starting point is to say that we did shift public opinion overnight, actually, in an opinion poll from 23rd, 24th, and 25th of February. So previously, we were 50% against NATO membership and 20% in favor, and that just swapped very quickly. And now we're up to approval rates of 80% for NATO. And I think the discussion about what kind of a profile as a member will start now after the elections, when we get a new government installed. I would predict that our profile will be very Nordic, so we'll be quite similar probably to what Norway has been, and Denmark and Iceland to a certain extent. That's the profile that you'll see first Finland taking, and then later Sweden, which I believe will join by the summit in Vilnius in July this summer.
Now, let's talk about Sweden. How do you feel about Finland leaving Sweden behind? I mean, you launched a joint bid, and Helsinki was adamant that, you know, it will only join if Stockholm would get the green light. But now Finland is going it alone.
Yeah, well, I'm quite relaxed in terms of the overall picture. In other words, Sweden has been a neutral country for 200 years, and it'll now be 2 months after Finland joining NATO. Of course, I would have preferred Finland to join together with Sweden, but there wasn't that much Finland could do about it because it was Turkey and Hungary that decided to ratify at a different pace. But I'm very confident that Sweden will be there. And I think the big picture should be kept in mind, and that is that both countries' security situation is actually very good at the moment. We have de facto security guarantees as it stands. So I think I'm not too worried about Sweden not joining exactly at the same time, though I would have preferred it.
Alexander Stubb, thank you for this conversation.